what's going on, everybody? Welcome back, and thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the LNBE podcast, where LNBE stands for literally nothing but everything. I'm Mike Rispoli, and guys, thank you so much for helping me out by rating, subscribing, liking, commenting, doing whatever you guys can do to help boost this thing, because without you guys, this podcast will go nowhere, so thank you so much for doing all of that. And also, don't forget, you can follow me on my non-existent socials on Instagram and TikTok. You can find me at the LNBE pod. Oh, well, Mike, if they're non-existent, then how can we follow you? I just say that they're non-existent because I just suck at social media. You know what? I actually just recently got that Threads thing, or whatever it's called, through Instagram. I was taking a quick look at it, and I'm just like, what the hell actually is this? Is this just like X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it for Instagram? I don't know. Guys, I am so not involved when it comes to social media. I could give two fucks about it. And I know you need the socials in order to promote. Well, I don't know what you want me to do, guys. I'm not at a stage with this where I'm doing a lot of production or anything like that. So I don't know. It's all a work in progress. I'm slowly starting to figure it out. But again, guys, if you don't engage with anything that I'm doing, I post stuff on social. I get like 2 likes. I posted a few things on TikTok. I get like however many likes or like whatever. So I don't know. Without you guys, I have no basis. And I know. Well, you gotta put more stuff out there. Well, I don't know. I'm just not good with the camera. I'm barely good with just doing audio. Let's be real here. It's not like I'm great at this, but it is what it is. Oh, in other news, I hope you guys all had a fantastic weekend, because I gotta be honest, I really got nothing going on here. So, I mean, what do you guys want to hear? You want to hear the fact that I got some chores done over the weekend? That I cleaned and waxed and detailed my car? No. Literally, nobody could give any less of a shit. But here's something that you guys might find entertaining. And this happened a couple weeks ago, and it was during my little hiatus when I wasn't doing any podcasting. Just due to the fact that I had friggin' legal issues going on. But I'll tell you guys a little story. So Halloween weekend, my friend decided that she was going to throw a Halloween party. And at this Halloween party, one of our other friends was like, you know what, I'm going to contribute to the festivities. So what does he do? He decides to bring weed brownies. And I don't know if anybody has seen Tom Segura's last special, but he talks about the fact that it's not strangers that you need to worry about drugging you. It's your friends that you need to worry about drugging you. And that could not have been any more true in this scenario. So he brings these brownies, and he's just like, guys, I don't think these are really going to be that strong. They're probably only about 15 milligrams. Anybody who's smoked weed or done any sort of weed paraphernalia knows that 15 milligrams is kind of light work. It's not the babiest of doses, but it's also not going to totally put you on your ass. So, knowing me, I don't do anything like that when I'm driving or anything like that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take one, and I'm going to save it for when I go home. So I get back to my place around 11:30. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take this. I'm just going to relax, and hopefully it'll help put me to sleep, because I am, no joke, the definition of what someone might call an insomniac. I take this thing, and all of a sudden, about an hour later, I'm falling off the face of the earth. I'm just like, what in the hell did I just take? So I go to bed, because at this point, I'm farther out in space than any astronaut has ever fucking traveled to. So I absolutely pass out, and I wake up on Sunday morning, and I was still high as a kite. Now you might be thinking, well, that's actually kind of a pleasant surprise. No, it wasn't, because a week prior, I had made plans to hang out with my parents and my mom's cousin, who, fun fact, is actually going to be on this pod on my Friday episode, so that's something to look forward to. But as we're out to lunch, this thing just doesn't go away. And I'm just getting more and more tired, and I'm like completely out of my mind. I can barely walk, and I also couldn't talk because every time I talked, it sounded like I was absolutely drunk, just slurring my words. So it's kind of like, yeah, I was there, but I wasn't there, because We go out to lunch. That was fine. But then we decided that we're going to go out for another place for like coffee and dessert, which I don't even know if I got anything. But then we also took a little trip to this bodega store. Dude, I don't even remember going to this bodega store. So yeah, dude, I don't think it's necessarily strangers that anybody would have to worry about drugging you. It truly is your friends. Because I'm like 15 milligrams my ass. Those things had to have been at least 150 milligrams. For me to be high the entire next day, dude, that was truly a trip that I was not ready to fucking take. But alright, so what ended up happening to you this weekend? Well, really nothing. All I did was I actually met up with a buddy of mine, not the one that gave me the brownies. And we went to a brewery that was like right around the corner from where he lives. And it's funny because when we were making the plans and figuring out what he wanted to do, he was just like, oh, well, there's a brewery that opened up near my house if you want to check that out. But I know you don't drink, so we don't have to go. And I'm like, dude, just because I don't drink does not mean that I don't want to go out. Like, I don't know what it is with this perception of just because somebody doesn't drink that they're automatically just nixed from any sort of nightlife. But since I have a lot of time on my hands, I've been trying to catch up on a lot of stuff that I haven't been able to watch. And I just recently started watching that documentary on the Red Sox-Yankees ALCS Championship Series, where the Red Sox ended up coming back from 3-1. And I didn't think I was going to be able to handle it because of the bad memories that would have caused. But it's actually a very well done documentary so far. I'm only about like halfway through one of the first episodes, so not really too much to report on there. Actually, you know what? Speaking of shows that I just couldn't handle was Love is Blind. I don't know who in their right mind finds that shit enjoyable. Like, I got through maybe 2 episodes of it. But it took me like 3 weeks to watch it because I could only watch it in 10-minute increments. That show, I was like sitting there, I'm just like, I'm losing brain cells watching this shit. And you know, in theory, that show should have some sort of moral implication of like what dating and love should be, because it shouldn't necessarily be about the looks. But throughout all of history, it is evolutionary that looks is the immediate attraction point. I really don't care what anybody says. Oh, well, beauty is only skin deep. Yeah, that is true, because somebody can be an absolute 10 but be a fucking 3 when it comes to personality. And trust me, where I live, that seems to be the case with a lot of people, because they just utilize their looks, and that's pretty much it. Because you go up to somebody who you think is hot, and you're just like, oh, okay, this girl's a knockout, let me go talk to her. And then you go talk to her, she's got the fucking personality of drywall. And it's just like, oh, okay, this would be great if I wasn't just trying to have a conversation with myself. So, no thanks. But has David Attenborough taught us nothing with nature documentaries? Haven't you watched anything with, like, birds or whatever the fuck, where it's just like, the thing with the most beautiful feathers is the one that the female wants to mate with? Or like giraffes or some shit where they fight for the mate and it's usually the strongest one that gets it, because the strength is the attraction quality, because that's what's going to create their evolutionary process. The weak ones die out. And you know what? I know this is probably going to make me sound bad, but it's an old Louis C.K. joke where he just goes, you either fuck up or across. You don't fuck down. And yeah, he definitely liked to fuck across. I mean, when it comes to jerking off in front of women. But, I don't know, maybe I just have this grandiose sense of self where I just think I'm perfect. Trust me, I am far from it. I don't know. But I'm also at this point where I know what I want in somebody, and I'm also just like, look, like, if I'm not attracted to you, if I can't communicate with you, all these things, then you're not for me. So I know what I'm looking for. But also, you know what? None of my relationships have panned out. So at what point do I gotta look back on myself and just be like, you know what? Some of this might just be about me. Like, none of my relationships have panned out, and the common denominator seems to be me. So what makes me any better thinking that I can just attract somebody or get somebody just based off of my looks? So apparently there's some personal digging that I got to do within myself to try and fix my not so sparkling personality, apparently. But also, some of this isn't my fault. I mean, clearly, even as I've showcased on this podcast, I've had my fair share of, like, not so greats, hence that restraining order. And the last thing I'm going to say about that was moral of that whole story is just don't stick your dick in crazy, guys. And that goes for females, too. Men can be fucking crazy, too. But I think the levels of crazy are different. But also, with that said, I think female crazy is actually more socially acceptable. I mean, think about this, right? Carrie Underwood has that song Before He Cheats. And I don't know, to me, that punishment didn't really fit the crime. Because if Carrie Underwood is the narrator in that song, her boyfriend obviously cheated on her with somebody else. So then she retaliates by keying his car, slashing his tires, and Babe Ruthin the shit out of his truck. So you got vandalism, destruction of property, and everybody listening to that song, if you're a woman, is probably just like, yes, slay queen. So I think society kind of normalizes that shit. Because you know that once she was done doing all that shit to that poor bastard's truck, that she went back to her group of friends and was just like, I did X, Y, and Z. And they were just like, yeah, girl, he deserves that shit. But, like, can we think logically? Because all of that stuff can be fixed. At the very least, it's just an inconvenience. And it can be figured out in a couple weeks. Plus, if there's proof that it was you who did it, you're just fucked. So how about you just get back at him by fucking one of his friends? But no. You fight emotional trauma with some form of physical damage or monetary damage, or God forbid it's both. And I feel like the punishment should fit the crime, so it's kind of like emotional trauma for emotional trauma. Because if somebody cheats on you, that's going to take you a little bit longer to heal from emotionally. Like, you're going to be scarred. Then the next relationship you get into, you're going to have your guard up a little bit harder because you're not really sure. So why don't you fight that with causing emotional turmoil in their life? So if you fuck one of their friends, you're going to ruin a relationship, and then they're going to be a little bit hard to trust somebody else moving forward. I feel like that's a little bit more fair. I mean, at that point, that would be the definition of karma, right? Like, I don't know. But then also you got to think of it this way, right? Like, how many breakups has somebody gone through, and then in that moment you're just like, I'm never going to emotionally recover from this. And then all of a sudden, like, one day you just wake up and you're no longer thinking about the person, and it's a little easier to get through your day, and you're just like, the more days you have like that, the more that person just becomes a distant memory, and then you're able to go and find the love of your life. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just a fucking idiot. I mean, guys, you should know I'm an idiot. I don't think I have to tell anybody that. That should be common knowledge at this point. But I don't know. I feel like that trade-off of you cheated on me, so now I'm going to go and do something that's going to possibly get me thrown in jail. At the end of the day, at that point, you're no longer the victim. Now everybody's just going to be like, well, why the hell did you go and do that? Like, now you're the problem. I don't know. But speaking of beating the shit out of something, how about them Patriots beating the shit out of the Chicago Bears? Now, I know that the Chicago Bears had a bad offensive line. They had a lot of guys hurt. But, I mean, give it up to that defense for only allowing, 142 total yards allowed in the game? Thank you for the Patriots defense. And the biggest question I have the Patriots finally found their quarterback? Because the more I'm watching Drake May, the more I'm just like, dude, this guy seems legit. They put him in week 5. I was totally against that just because I am of the philosophy that you should have a quarterback sit for a year at least to kind of learn the system and learn what the NFL is all about, because when you're in college, you've only got, the best of the best of high school. When you go to the NFL, you got the best of college, but also other leagues like the USFL, the CFL. I'm running out of stuff. The XFL? I don't know. I don't watch any of that. But the skill level is just far different in the NFL than it is in college. And you got this brand new, fresh-faced quarterback coming in, not knowing what these defensive schemes are. They're not used to playing at the speed of the NFL. So at least if they sit for a little bit, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think that's why Aaron Rodgers was so good because he had all those years behind Brett Favre. I think that's why Jordan Love looks really good because he had all those years behind Aaron Rodgers. So they kind of are able to learn a little bit more. They're able to get accustomed a little bit easier rather than just getting thrown to the wolves. And then you get a Mac Jones, Bryce Young situation. Even Richardson over on the Colts, he looked good for his first couple games, but now it seems like he's really fallen off. And also, what's the deal with him a couple weeks ago where he just decided, hey, I'm just like done, and he just came out of the game. So now I think they're starting Flacco because of that. I mean, I don't know. That's not a good look either. You got the leader of this team, and all of a sudden, I think he made one bad play, and he's just like, yeah, I don't want to play anymore. Like, is that what the new generation is? Just like, oh, I give up. One bad play. I don't want to play anymore. These guys aren't playing fair. I don't know. Just a bad look all around. Oh, and since we're talking about sports here and also on the topic of bad looks, since I talked about LeBron James last week, did anybody see this play where he just absolutely flopped? Dude went up for a layup. Guy just kind of bodied him as he was also going up to try and block the shot. And LeBron just like, he didn't even fall down hard. He just kind of fell off kind of to the side, and then he's just like laying on the ground. Could you imagine if LeBron James was playing in the Jordan era where you had those Piston guys just attacking you all day? Like, I don't know, man. I was actually having this conversation with somebody where he just goes, I think the whole thing with LeBron and Jordan of being the GOAT is officially over. And I stand by the fact, I think I've said this before, where if Jordan had played for as many years as LeBron did, I think LeBron would still be trying to chase Jordan's stats. I mean, how many more games has LeBron James played than Jordan? Is it up to 400 at this point? I have no idea. But I think the only true comparison is you got to take, say Jordan's played what? 350 total games? 450 total games? I have no idea. But you take those however many games, and then you take LeBron's first however many games, and you compare those two. So you compare, I don't know, say it's 500. I don't know. But you take all of Jordan's 500 games, and then you take LeBron's first 500 games, not including what he's done after the fact, because that's just all padded stats at that point. That's the fair comparison. Can somebody please do that? What do those stats look like? Does Jordan have more points? Does Jordan have more assists? Does Jordan have more blocks? Does Jordan have more rebounds? I don't know what you can compare it to, but I think that's the only way that you can say that Jordan and or LeBron is the better player. And reason being with that too is because then it actually takes out the championship argument. Because if you're only basing it off of championships, then honestly, Wilt Chamberlain should be the greatest of all time. Because I think he's got 11? I don't know shit about basketball. But I think that's truly the only fair comparison, because then you're actually just taking it game by game. Also, it's unfair if you're comparing it with the playoffs, because LeBron would clearly sweep Jordan because LeBron's been to 10, 11 playoff runs? But he's also got 4 rings to show for it. That's it. But, I don't know, I was talking to this guy, and he actually makes a really good argument, too. If you're claiming that you're trying to be the best, then why would you take that guy's number? LeBron chose 23. Like, if you're trying to surpass somebody, why would you take that person's number? Why would you literally follow in every footstep that they did, trying to do a Space Jam 2? Also, if you really were the best, why don't you have a logo on anybody's jersey? The Air Jordan logo is the thing that's on NBA jerseys. If you really are the best, if you're claiming that you're the best, you should be the one saying, hey, you know what? I'm not wearing this guy's logo, because that should be me on this damn thing. So, I don't know. And then you get this whole thing with LeBron playing with this kid. Like, from what I heard, LeBron pretty much told every other team not to draft Bronny, specifically because he wanted to play with Bronny, and Bronny is not fucking good. I think there was a game where he literally had 4 points. Like, he's not a good basketball player. Now, I'm not saying I was good at basketball. I sucked at basketball. That was probably my worst sport. Not even that I even played sports growing up. But out of the sports that I would play, with just my friends, basketball was not it. But him having his kid on this team and them not even playing well, I think it's just kind of doing more to harm your legacy than it is to enhance your legacy. Maybe that's just me, though. Alright, people, I think that does it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy this episode, please make sure that you share it with a friend. Again, check me out on my socials, even though they're drier than my sex life. If you guys want to write in, feel free to do so. You can reach out to me at lnbemedia@gmail.com. And also, please continue to rate, share, comment, subscribe, and doing whatever it is that you guys are doing, because again, without you guys, this would be all for nothing, and I truly do appreciate the support. Thank you guys so much. And with that, I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I'll catch up with you guys on Friday.